So let's get right into it. Let's talk about how to avoid these job search mistakes that I see people making. And the reason why people are making them is because we're so used to the one size fits all method, right? Just to apply to as many jobs as we can with our resume and our cover letter. And hopefully, we keep our fingers crossed and hope that someone will bite. But in this job market, there's a better way to do things now that's not necessarily working as well as it used to. So I'm going to give you 6 things that you should avoid when you're searching for your job. The first one is focus on experience and expertise, not necessarily the job title. So I'm going to give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. So I used to be a customer success manager, so that's the example I'm going to use just because it's super easy and at the top of my head. So just to give you a super quick explanation of what a customer success manager is. So when a company pitches a product or a service to a potential client, and the client decides, you know what, I actually like that product or service. I think I'm going to sign on the dotted line. I want to do business with you. So cool. They decide to do business with them. They sign the contract. So they're in. Now that they're in with the company, and this is really, like I said, super brief. I don't want to take up too much time giving you the details and all the nuances that go along with being a CSM, but once they become a client, then somebody has to manage the health of that account and make sure that the client stays happy, make sure that we're expanding the book of business by upselling other products or services that they may not have decided on in the beginning, things like that. So we're managing the health of the account for the lifetime of the partnership. So with that being said, if I'm going to search for a customer success manager position, I have to keep something in mind. Every single company is different and not, and every company is not going to call that position customer success manager. So I'm going to give you an example right now of what I'm talking about. So this is a senior customer success manager position for Trellix, which is some cybersecurity company. So if you're searching for a position with this specific title because you want to be a customer success manager and you see this job, okay, I like it. I'm looking through it. A lot of soft skills are required to be a customer success manager or CSM, and they'll tell you in here. Liaison for accounts. You'll be the trusted advisor, like I said earlier, so you're helping, transition, help the sales team transition from pre-sales to customer success because you'll be their customer success manager. You're doing account reviews so that you could show them different metrics to tout your success and let them know that the account's doing well. And yeah, you'll be the liaison between all the different teams in your company. You'll be the main point of contact. So you'll be the main point of contact between all of the different departments in your company and your client. And then you look through it and you say, okay, I have most of the qualifications. Maybe I only have, 5 or 6 years here, but I could travel. I have strong communication skills, blah blah blah. I won't read through all of it. So that's that piece. So keep this in mind when we look at the next thing. So check this out. So if you're just typing out customer success manager, you'll get a lot of CSM. You'll get a lot of companies hiring for a CSM. But look at this. This company is called Empathy, and they're looking for a senior partner success manager. Well, we can tell right off the bat that one of the qualifications they're looking for is someone who's empathetic because the name of their company is Empathy. So you go through and you're checking it out. You say, well, wait a minute, this looks like a CSM position. Well, that's because it is. So you see all these soft skills here, analytical skills, overseeing the partner life cycle, post sales, like I just talked about earlier, analytical and problem solving skills, which it seems like you pretty much need for every single position these days, verbal communication, presentation, because you're going to be doing those account reviews, so on and so forth. These preferred skills, by the way, side note, you can if you don't have experience with these skills, you can look them up and you should be able to talk your way through them in an interview. This is a New York City-based company, by the way, so that's why the salary range is 130 to 150K. So this is a customer success manager position. But if you just type it in customer success manager, you might miss this. Look at this. Now, this is an account manager position, which can get a little tricky because an account manager is supposed to be different than a customer success manager, but I'm seeing now, and it's crystal clear that a lot of companies don't understand that there's a difference between the two. So look at this. Own client relationship, post sales. Same thing we just saw on the other postings. Quarterly business reviews, account reviews, growth strategies across your book of business, upselling, identifying growth opportunities, so on and so forth. Now, what I find funny about this position though is their compensation range is between 60 and 75 because they're calling this position an account manager position, but this is exactly what a CSM does. So anyway, but I noticed that they are only asking for 3 years of experience. So maybe they're looking for someone who's not as experienced, and that's why they're offering, and they're saying 3+ years of experience with a lower compensation range. But the point of this was to show you that each of these positions read exactly the same, but they have different titles. So don't focus as much on the job title, focus more on the qualifications that you have, the skills that you have, and that way you can apply to more positions as you'll start to realize that a lot of your soft skills, and as you can see, to be a customer success manager, it requires a lot of soft skills, and a lot of those skills are transferable into other departments. So let's jump into number two. I think more people are starting to understand this now, but when you go to job boards, don't apply directly on the job board. Go to the actual website of the company that's hiring. Now, some companies are partnering with these job boards. Indeed is notorious for that. So sometimes it's unavoidable, but most of the time it's not. This will help you to also avoid scam jobs or ghost jobs and things like that. So number three, instead of doom scrolling through all these job boards and looking through your job title, hoping to find something that pops, why not go to a job board that specializes in the niche that you're looking for? So I'll give you an example here. So for example, if you want to be remote, why not go to companies like Remote Jobs that focus just on remote? Why not just get to the point? Or if you're a six-figure earner who's at least mid-level in their career, why not check out the ladders? Now, the ladders is expensive, I'll tell you that, but it's worth a shot if you've been making pretty good money for at least a couple of years. Now, I've talked about this site before, but if you prefer startups, why not go to a site like Simplify that focuses just on startups? So becoming more niche will help you to narrow it down so that you're not working for the wrong company or taking a job that you know you're not going to like. Now, I'll just put out a disclaimer here. Look, I know that we got to do what we got to do, especially if you've been out of a job for a while and you just need a job. And that's fine. It's better to take a job than to not have one at all if you need one. But you can do this while you're in the job that you don't necessarily want to get into the job that you want. So number four is one of the biggest mistakes that I see personally, and it's a mistake that I make too. And it's don't be afraid to ask who's hiring. Ask people who's hiring. In recruiting, you'll be surprised how many people just tell you they apply to companies online and they never even tell anyone they're looking for a job. And you may be thinking, I don't even have a circle of people who I could ask something like that. That's totally fine. Strike up conversation with people wherever you are. I've had conversations with people at museums, airports, hotels, waiting in line to pick up my food. You name it, I've had conversations with people about jobs in those lines. I know it's hard sometimes, and I personally suffer too from wanting to be in my own world, but keeping to yourself all the time is no good for your career journey. People can help you get jobs, or they can help you get in front of someone who can help you get a job. The one thing I had to learn is not be too proud to ask for help. And look, it's not as bad as you think. A lot of people like being asked to be helpful. We want to be helpful. It makes us feel good about ourselves. And eventually, once you get into that job, you'll be able to help someone in return down the road. So the fifth mistake is using the wrong cover letter or resume for a job. And here's where I tend to lose people because no one, and I mean no one, wants to redo or do multiple resumes and cover letters for jobs. Unfortunately, especially right now, there's no one size fits all in this step. So remember earlier when we were looking at three different job titles for the same job? That's because one company sees a customer success manager as one way, so maybe more of a sales type role, and another company sees customer success manager as another way, so more of an account manager role. So each company has their ideal candidate based on their individual goals because they're different. So that trickles down to how resumes and cover letters should be written. And look, I'm not talking about completely changing a resume and a cover letter for every single job you apply to. Talking about just changing a couple keywords here and there and making the cover letter just a little more personable by maybe adding a sentence that's unique to the company that you're applying to, especially if it's a company that you care about, that you really want the job for, or that you may be a little underqualified for. Definitely give it your best effort. Number six is pay attention to the stock market. So especially right now with everything going on with the election, pay attention to who's investing in what. Of course, there'll be many other factors that determine a share price, which I'll let the gurus in that niche explain. But looking at trends is a good indicator of what companies people believe are growing and will be successful. So look at who the industry leaders are. And if you want to get really crafty, look at the other companies the big players work with. Now, I'm not saying you have to be advanced unless you're interested in the stock market, then go for it. But a quick look at Apple stocks or Google stocks or Yahoo Finance, that's good enough. That's all for now.